Hi, I'm Fred Topel with Crave Online. We're interviewing director Paul W.S. Anderson about the new Resident Evil movie here at Comic-Con. Do you still have time to play the Resident Evil games, and have you kept up with the latest ones?
I played Resident Evil religiously. The last game, I got about halfway through, and then I couldn't. The pull of movie making, fatherhood, and it was just too much for me. So I got someone to play the rest of the game for me so I could see it. So I've seen all the games. I can't claim to have played every single one of them, but I've definitely seen every single frame of them. And of course what happens is Capcom also send me a sneak peek of what the next game is going to be. So I've seen large chunks of Resident Evil 6 as well. You know, I like to feel that the movies are kind of really immersed in the feel and the look of the games, even if they tell a slightly different story. You know, for example, in the Resident Evil 6, which hasn't come out yet, the video game, you know, there's a large section set on a subway in the tunnels, and of course in our movie there's a large section set in subway tunnels, you know, so they do reflect one another and they inspire one another, but we tell slightly separate stories. But I think that's the nature of the video game as well. You know, the Resident Evil 2, the video game, told a completely different story to Resident Evil 1. You know, it wasn't in the mansion anymore, it didn't have the same characters anymore, it took place in the same world, obviously. So we try and tell fresh stories with, you know, very much inspired by the world of the games. I approached the first Resident Evil movie the same way I approached the first Mortal Kombat movie, which was as a fan. You know, I was a genuine fan of the Mortal Kombat games and the Resident Evil games. And I had, as a fan, I had an in-depth knowledge of the games and what people really liked about them. Not the surface minutiae of what the characters are called and what they look like and what the storylines are. But I think I understood what people really got out of playing those games, what the enjoyment was, and why they liked them. And I tried to kind of transfer that into the movie version. And I think that in-depth knowledge of the source material is key, whether you're trying to adapt a book or a play. But somehow video games were not given the same respect that books and plays are given in Hollywood. You know, so many filmmakers I've heard say, "Oh, I made the movie, but I never played the video game." If you do that, how on earth can you know what people liked about the game? And I think that's a big mistake. It's like kind of, you know, it's like making Anna Karenina and never having read the book.
Was Resident Evil Retribution the longest Resident Evil to shoot?
It was certainly the most globe-trotting. So in terms of the number of days we shot, we probably shot more days, yeah. Because we had to schlep around the world from Tokyo to Moscow, New York in Times Square, Washington, D.C. We had a lot of ground to cover because I wanted this to be the most global of the Resident Evil movies.
Have you been gratified to get hands-on again with the Resident Evil series, directing the most recent two after producing the two in between?
Yeah, definitely. It was great to come back to the franchise as director with the last movie, and it was great to do it again this time. I mean, they're complicated movies to make, but they're really fun films to make.
Do you know the most about 3D filmmaking than anyone? Because you've made 3 in 3D now?
I don't know if I know the most, but I mean, I know a lot, and I'm sure at this point I must have the most experienced 3D crew in the world because, you know, we've made 3 movies in 3D in 3 years. In between those movies, we've done like huge campaigns, commercials in 3D as well. So we've shot a lot of stuff in 3D. And 3D is still a new medium, so the more you shoot, the more you learn, the more experienced you become. And I definitely feel that the 3D we're delivering is very superior. I mean, it's like we're originating in 3D, and also the experience of the crew at this point is really delivering some great results.
Was it gratifying to you that Prometheus sort of cribbed a storyline from Alien vs. Predator with Wayland?
I can't take any credit for that. You know, because both Ridley's movie and my movie were going back to kind of original source material that originated, I think, with the first film. You know, I think he was using the kind of genetic structure of the first movie and a lot of unused stuff as well, because if you read the Art of the Alien book, you know, there was a lot of kind of unused artwork, unused storylines that didn't make it into the first Alien movie, that then made it into my movie, because I read that book and thought it was really cool stuff, and that Ridley then kind of elaborated on in his film.
Thank you, Paul.
Thanks.